Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we'll be going through the St Kilda Western Bulldogs game, in which Western Bulldogs just absolutely smoked the St Kilda Saints boys. And it was pretty obvious once you sort of realised after the Saints had, I think, 3 games in 12 days, that they were just getting done. And this is the thing that sucks at the moment with a lot of these teams, is they have 2 or 3 games back to back to back, and it is killing off fantasy scoring for those teams. And a lot of them have, like we saw with Collingwood, we've seen it with St Kilda. I wouldn't be surprised if another 2 or 3 teams have it as well. And they're just going to struggle in that third game, and it's really going to bring down fantasy scoring. I mean, we saw the likes of Steele go minus 34, Marshall go minus 55 or something, 56 on his average. So yeah, a lot of guys just did nothing with the ball, and Western Bulldogs really absolutely dominated. So before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So yes, you would have seen a lot of my Supercoach and AFL fantasy teams surrounded the St Kilda boys and how they went. So it really did suck that these boys did absolutely nothing. So yeah, that really did suck, and it means that I'm probably going to take a really big loss this week. Luckily, it is only best 18, so it won't matter too much, but I can already tell you right now that I have a 49, a 51, and a 69 in Supercoach, so that already means that I pretty much got a couple of dumpster scores already. And my VC did fail as well, so that doesn't help as well. So gotta hope that I can get some decent scoring there. But that's the worst of it, and we copped a bad Sinclair, a bad Marshall, a bad Wanganeen Malira score, etc, etc, etc. So, I mean, I should probably stop saying that, but yeah, it was a bad day. But peaks and troughs, as I said in a tweet, things go right, things go wrong. At least we didn't get a guy that was injured, so which would be a forced trade. And I'm sure a lot of other people are in this same boat. If we go to fantasy, we go to Bonner. He's 18% owned and went 83. That's good. Bontempelli, 110, returns back to his sort of best, a 101 average now for him. A Steele 87 when 25% of the comp have him, and a lot of the top end have him anyway, so not too worried about that. A Rowan Marshall, when he's 18% owned, does kill that he went 62, and English smacked him. And then I have Darcy Wilson here as well, 61. That was good to field. And then Hugo Garcia somehow pulled that off. So, yeah, really happy about that one. And so, yeah. So when you look at that, I have a 61, a 71, a 62, an 83, a 110, an 87. It actually doesn't look as bad as what I thought it initially was. No 50 scores for me. Supercoach is the one that I'm getting killed on, but I think a lot of people will be killed on that as well. If we just go to Supercoach here anyway, you'll see exactly what I mean by it anyway. You'll see I'll have to field Sam Darcy's 49, which sucks, but I have Rowan Marshall, who is in 8% of teams. That really does suck. And then we have Steele, but he's in most of the top end teams anyway. Hugo Garcia would have loved to have had him on. So yeah, and then Wanganeen Malira is in 17% of teams. So that's not that bad, but it does suck that these guys went a little bit below par. And so yeah, I'll probably lose 80 to 100 points, which in the end, Supercoach, not too bad, but it does suck a little bit that English has started his rise again, and I am slightly worried about that in terms of Supercoach. So let's actually get into the scoring. Wintager, absolutely huge in the first. Got like 10 touches, 11 touches in the first, as well as a couple of kicks and a couple of tackles and a couple of marks, I believe. Yeah. I believe 1 mark, 2 tackles, just looking at it here quickly. So he was, good throughout. Bradley Hill, he was really good as well. I'm wondering if I bring him in or whatnot. I could potentially do Dacos and Hill for like a Campbell or something potentially, and Massimo, I think. But we'll wait and see in that one. That could be a massive upgrade, as Hill looks pretty good. Steele 87, Bonner 83. Bonner looks pretty good, and I think he's one that you can almost hold another week. Ross 80, Garcia 71, Membry 67, Sinclair 64, so he looks pretty bad, and that's the worry about getting in Hill, is just Sinclair looks off the pace, so when Sinclair gets back to it, I think Hill will drop down the scoring, so that's probably why I'll miss that. Wangini Malira 63, for those who brought him in, potentially, he just sucked this week, and he'll be better off the longer break, I think, and who do they have next week? They've got next week, they've got Port and then North and then Hawks. So if you look at that run, I'm still not worried about Marshall, because he's got this run coming up here where he legitimately has 3 deadbeat easy games against North and against Port, North and Hawks. So I'm not too worried about that, to be honest with you. Darcy Wilson again producing, and his scoring has been great, and we look at his Supercoach scoring, so his Supercoach, I'm probably even just going to keep him as his 69 is, if we look at his projected, that he's going to be roughly 238 or so K, so he's just going up, and that's that break even as well for him is going to really stabilize at around that 10 or so marker, so he's going to make a lot of cash quickly, which is really, really good to see. Burns, Sharman, Higgins, no one else here really. I'm really surprised at how Philippou hasn't done anything, and it is almost calls for him to be in the 2s now with how bad he's been. So that'll be an interesting watch to see if they do drop him. But I was really, really happy, just quickly, really, really happy about Garcia. Brought him in both formats after the Sanders news, which allowed me to gain a lot of cash quickly. And there is potential for me to do a double upgrade next week, which will be absolutely huge, as well as I think even keep Luke Jackson. So I get a double upgrade, keep Luke Jackson Luke Jackson to be like an F6, and you would see my team now would go to basically it would be a D'Ambrosio, Sharp and Bonner potentially, or a D'Ambrosio, Sharp, and potentially even maybe a Dempsey or something like that, or a Fife, even though those two are doing well. Something like that, and get them all the way up, or potentially even a D'Ambrosio, Williams, and a Sharp if they all fail or something like that, and get them up to another 2 primos, which would be absolutely huge, as getting primos in the long run for D'Ambrosio and Williams, who are still scoring well. Williams is averaging 73 and D'Ambrosio 86. They're still scoring well, but they're not scoring top end, which is the huge numbers that we need. So that was basically all for St Kilda. Western Bulldogs, Bailey Dale went absolutely huge, and in the second half pulled out an 89. So just shows, I think, and Schuzel's got this matchup in the next couple of weeks against St Kilda, shows that they're giving up so many points to halfbacks, so look at that one. Trelaw 137, he's been absolutely huge this year, so I thought actually he wouldn't be the best to go for, but given his age and the fact that no one wanted to go for him, but he's been averaging 108, so he's roughly about on his average or something. I don't know exactly, but he's been pretty good. McRae finally back to his best. I'm going to give it a probable week, because then I can just bring him in and he'll be probably, I would say, 740k, and that's an easy trade in if he goes bang again. English 128, he just went huge, and that last quarter basically when Marshall just sat out. Here Marshall had a 5-point quarter, English had a 42-point quarter. Marshall just sat in the forward line because they were trying to rest him. English went nuts, and it sort of made that divide even worse, which could have been avoided, I reckon. But the 12-day break, I think, just killed Marshall, I think English gained about 30-40 points just on the outside through marks and goals on the outside comparative to Marshall. Drea, Norton, Williams, Lobb, West, Bramble, Harms, Darcy 71, good for the Supercoach as he scored a 49, so good cash in there. Garcia, even though he was butchering it by foot. Richards, Garcia, Gallagher, Waitman, Palmas, but the only sad part is that Darcy isn't going to get ruck status now, given that he spent so much time in the forward line, I'm led to believe. Richards, Garcia, Gallagher, Waitman, Palmas, O'Donnell, Vandermeer, and then Sanders coming on for a 22. That sucked. I'm glad that I got rid of him, as he's going to drop now, I would say, to about 500k, and saving a 19, as well as him most likely going to have I would suggest, probably a 90 break even or so. I would suggest that he's going to go for a lot of teams now, that he's averaging, I think, like 71, as it says there. Let's actually see Sanders. Yeah, you can see my trades now. He's averaging 62 now. He's just dropped through the floor, and that break even is going to skyrocket. If we go to Sanders here as well, I just want to show you on the on Supercoach here, Sanders, 69 average. That break even now is probably, I would suggest, going to be around that 80 or so marker here, 87, 88, and you can get that. But I think it was a lot better to stash the cash and be able to potentially get the massive upgrades that we want over that. But anyway, that pretty much is the video there, going through the St Kilda versus Western Bulldogs game, which Western Bulldogs just smoked the sort of the absolutely ragged St Kilda side, and they Bevo gets another week, because that was... I don't know whether that was necessarily Bevo finally figuring out that playing your players in their best position works, or whether this was just St Kilda being so beat down and absolutely just... They had no run in them. They were just absolutely shot. So we'll see if Western Bulldogs can back this up, but if this is finally the corner turn for the Western Bulldogs, it'll be good just to see them finally put out a performance. And yeah, we'll see how Sanders sort of fits in with them, as I think he deserves to play, but it's sort of hard to fit him in if they finally get McRae back on form, and where sort of the Libba comes back into the argument and stuff like that. Libba probably just replaces Harms, and then McRae probably gets a slightly worse position and slightly worse scoring. So that's why I want to give it a week with Libba back, as well as to see where Sanders starts now, as no one really scored to sort of... There's no real way for Sanders to get back into the side, other than like a Gallagher potentially injured, but he ran out the game. So there's none of that really. So we'll just wait and see where the sort of magnets land for the Bulldogs in the next little bit. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.